Hey guys, kinggath here with another patch for Sim Settlements. This is patch 2.0.7, which I'm calling Rubber Chicken with a Pulley in the Middle, Part 1. Now if you don't get that reference, that is from an old school PC game called The Secret of Monkey Island. I absolutely love that franchise. I love and miss that old school point-and-click adventure style, and I've always felt it would make a nice addition to Bethesda games, so I've tried to implement that in Sim Settlements. Now, the way it manifests itself is in the plots from Industrial Revolution called research labs, and you'll know those because when you went to select their plan, or if you look at their plaque, you'll see that it mentions it researches something. So the first two of these, the Hydration Research Lab and the Microfusion Garage, have their first research quests in place. And these will show up after you refresh your plot, so if you refresh them and give it a minute or two for the plot to spawn in all the invisible triggers and things, and then if you find the right thing in that building to touch and look at, you will start a quest. And the idea behind these is that your settlers are researching some sort of new technology, but periodically they're going to get stuck in their research, and your quest is to help them figure out what it is that they're trying to do. So when the difference between adventure games and typical quests in a video game is that the adventure game style generally left things a little vague, so you weren't shown specifically what it is you need to do. But I know that some of you won't care for that gameplay, and if you're in that camp, I assure you someone will post a walkthrough on how to get through these very shortly, because there are plenty of players who do enjoy this challenge and will love to dig through and figure out what the heck I was thinking when I designed these quests. So after you start the quest and you solve what it is that they got stuck on, they'll then continue their research, and then in a day or two you can come back and see where they are with their research. And at the end of these quests, these settlers will finish their research and make some sort of new discovery that will help you as the player. So the idea I've always had with Sim Settlements is not just to make it so that you could build more interesting buildings and with less effort, but also that the settlers would provide you some sort of benefit, so that it's not all this one-sided affair where the settlers get new homes and you get nothing out of the deal. So this is kind of my first foray into that kind of gameplay. It's something I would love to expand upon greatly in the future. At the bare minimum, I'm going to do one of these quests for the other two research labs, so that all of the research labs have some sort of tangible benefit that you can unlock. But in the future, I envision some sort of expansion pack that focuses more heavily on this, but not until after I've finished all of the settlement gameplay options that I want to do. So it's something to look forward to in the future. In the meantime, I'd love to get your feedback on how I did with these quests. Did you enjoy them? Were they too hard, too easy? Were they broken? Any information you guys have on that, I'd love to hear. These were a lot of fun for me to build, and I hope they're a lot of fun for you guys to play and explore. So please give me that feedback on the simsettlements.com forum so I know if I'm heading in the right direction with this kind of thing. The other big thing to talk about with this particular patch video is the solution I think I came up with for the elusive shelter bug. So if you're not familiar with shelter, there's a element to happiness called shelter, and what that has to do with is whether or not your bed is covered. And as many of you know, the shelter system in Fallout 4 doesn't work consistently. Certain buildings that were pre-built, they wouldn't be accepted as sheltered. Sometimes your plots wouldn't count as sheltered, and there's a whole host of issues, and it ends up making happiness feel like it's broken. So I think I've discovered the secret sauce, and that's, as far as I can tell from all my testing, is that the moment the bed spawns in, if there was not a roof above it at that moment, then the bed won't count as sheltered. So as you're moving around the Commonwealth and pieces of the game are loaded and unloaded into memory, the bed could end up being spawned before the roof over top, and the shelter could be lost. So I don't have a solution for vanilla beds, but I do have one for all of the residential plots. So whenever you show up in your settlement, Sim Settlements will check if your shelter score is off. If it is, it will recreate all of your residential plot beds so that they do count as sheltered. And so you should find that your happiness score in general is a lot easier to control now. I'm hoping that this will, first of all, eliminate the need to constantly refresh plots based on your shelter problem. And it will also, I hope, encourage some of you who have maybe written off the happiness system to give it another go and maybe ditch some of those cheese items and try to play the game as it was designed, because I think the shelter was the #1 problem with happiness seeming broken. And so now that it's fixed, if you're using all residential plots, you'll actually have incentive to engage with that system and play with it, because there's a lot of modifiers in Sim Settlements, both Industrial Revolution and some of the add-ons make use of it as a balancing item. So if you're just cheesing it, you're not really feeling those effects. And I'm not saying that you have to play with it, but if you like the idea of using it as a new challenging aspect to your gameplay, I'd urge you to give it another shot, because I think I've got it resolved. All right, so that covers the things patch note related that I'm going to talk about. As always, please read the full patch notes so you find about any other changes I've made to Sim Settlements. But I want to talk about one thing that I normally save for a news video, but since I don't have a Sim Settlements news video planned anytime soon, I want to get this information out to you guys. And that's that on the simsettlements.com forum, I've started a new recruitment section. And that's because I want to ramp up development of Sim Settlements. I think the next expansion is going to really step things up to the next level, way more than Industrial Revolution did. And in order to pull off all of the features I want to add, I'm gonna need a lot of help. So the first call I've got going out is for those of you who are creative writers. I want to add a lot more quests and things of that nature to bring the settlements to life and make them feel more like a real city as opposed to just these mindless settlers. So if you're interested in writing quests and writing dialogue to send players off on adventures, I would love your help. Please contact me through simsettlements.com and send me a message with some writing samples of creative writing you've done. It doesn't even have to involve dialogue. If it does, that will help me measure your ability, but mostly I'm just looking to make sure that you're a good creative writer, because writing quests for Fallout 4 is very difficult due to the fact that we have to work within the player dialogue that's available. Now, we can do some creative things like chop up lines of dialogue, but there's a limit to that, so you're gonna have to really exercise your creative muscles to do good writing for this. So if you're into the challenge of that, and you like the idea of helping out with Sim Settlements, please send me your details through simsettlements.com, and hopefully we can work together to make settlement building even more fun than it is now. Okay, guys, as always, take care and enjoy the mod.